Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode on CL Live. As you all know that CL is a recruiting and staffing company, one of the largest in India. For the position that we operate from, that means on one side, we look at the organizations who are looking for talent continuously. And on the other side, we are working with the candidate community, the professionals who are looking for better careers. So we see the trends that's happening on one side with the organizations, and the other hand, we are looking at what kind of pulls and pushes or the pressures, the ambitions, the aspirations that the candidates have. So we are at that cusp of both these worlds. The position that we have, we look at some of these market trends and we present them in our CL live sessions for the business leaders, HR leaders, as well as professionals to understand the dynamic forces which are acting in the labor market. So today's topic is about employee engagement in the new era. As we all know that COVID-19 has kind of impacted our world in different aspects of our life. So naturally, work being such an integrated part of our life is naturally impacted in this process. So some of the norms or practices that organizations, HR leaders, business leaders used to practice about the way they attracted talent, the way they engaged, they developed, they retained, they managed. Some of those practices have undergone tremendous amount of change. We all know about the hybrid work environment. People are joining remotely. Offers are being given out by interviews in the virtual platforms, and so on and so forth. So naturally, the way we are engaging with our employees, the employees are engaging with one another, are undergoing a change. So today, there is no one better than Chitra Narayan, who heads HR in A.O.Smith, India head of HR. Today, she has given us the time to come and join the CL live session and share her insights. Let me take a minute to introduce Chitra Narayan, though many of you already know who Chitra is and her profile, but I think I'll take a minute. So Chitra is an accomplished HR professional with about 2 decades of experience. For the last close to about 6 years, she has been with A.O.Smith as heading HR function. And we all know that A.O.Smith is an iconic company, close to about 150 years, almost 150 years of history. They're the largest manufacturers and marketeers of water heaters, water boilers in North America. So in 2008, they came to India, and in 2010, they established their manufacturing facility in Bangalore. That's the headquarters. So Chitra has been heading HR function for A.O. Smith's India, and in a way of A.O. Smith's trajectory in India, she is part of the management team. Before the job in A.O. Smith, she has been in the engineering industry, also the IT industry. She was senior manager, human resources in Brady Corp, and before that, she worked in companies like TCS for about 5 years, and before that, in other engineering companies. So she brings a tremendous amount of insights and experience, and she has seen various. Through her 20 years of experience, she has seen certain, call them waves or call them changes, the cycles that we have seen in business. So we are fortunate to have someone experienced at Chitra to share her insights or observations or recommendations, possibly in some way. And I can assure you that we are going to have an interesting conversation going ahead. So welcome, Chitra, again. Formally, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So as I said, that COVID-19 has kind of changed practices in many ways. Lives have undergone change across the world. All of us are reading about great resignation across the world. Recently, as I think this sometime this week, one study came out in the US. Mercer says that 3 out of 10 employees in the US are looking to change their jobs. So this was just published recently. I thought maybe a CLHR will do a research in India and try to figure this out. It was interesting to see that employees' level of commitment, engagement with their organization is undergoing change because of several things which have happened. So in the new context, Chitra, if I may start with, let's start with the new joinees. All organizations, growing organizations in India have been recruiting people to cater to their growth. And there are companies who are also backfilling the roles. So in any case, there are new joinees. So question is that post-COVID, how are we engaging with new joinees? Then we'll come to existing people in the subsequent questions.
Right. See, what I would like to highlight here is that pre or post COVID, the needs of the employees or the new joinees has been the same as it was in the past. Okay. So, what were the needs of the new joinees, or what are the needs of new joinees? So, what they need is a sense of belongingness to the organization, to understand their role well, to start contributing to their role as quickly as possible, to have a good rapport or a good accessibility with the manager. So, pre or post COVID, as I said, these expectations are the same. So, what is it that has changed post COVID? So, what I personally believe or what I have seen is that there are two things which have changed. It is the way you cater to these needs as an organization, that is, needs of creating a sense of belongingness, creating accessibility with the managers to give a role clarity. So, the way you do it as an organization has changed. And another thing that has changed is the anxieties of a new joinee. So earlier it was like you get an offer letter, you are excited to join an organization. There would be some level of anxiety, but you know that there are people out there who is looking out for you. For example, when you come into the organization, you have HR, welcoming you. You have your supervisor there probably at the corridor and, welcoming you, taking you around, getting you introduced. But today's anxieties are different because there are many chances that probably the person has not even met his supervisor or the HR even during interview time, because all the interviews nowadays are virtual, except maybe accepting some manufacturing organization where we have recently started calling in people again to our office for the interviews, but otherwise that's not the norm now. So when you have not seen your supervisor, when you have not met the HR, so the anxieties are now different. It is like, how is my first day going to be? How will I get my laptop? How will I do my login? Earlier, as you come into the organization, you can do the ice breaking through meeting up people personally. You can have lunchroom, sessions. You can have coffee break sessions. When you go back and come to the office, you have a time in the cab where you chit chat with people. You can do small talk. But now all that is gone. So how is it that an organization should react to these situations? What I would say is that onboarding that way becomes very, very critical. And onboarding should start not after the person has joined. I think onboarding should start immediately after the offer has been given, because what the employee wants is a sense of belongingness, a sense of community, and that you can start giving from day one after the offer has been given. You should have a virtual onboarding program which is as effective as if you meet somebody one on one. You can ensure that a person knows that when he gets into the organization, probably a week before itself, he knows that how his first day is going to be, how his first week is going to be, who are the people he or she is going to interact with, what are the sessions that he's going to have. So What I would like to emphasize as far as new joinees are concerned is that this is the time, post COVID is the time for over communicating. There is no way that you can under communicate and you can engage the employee and give him or her a sense of community. What you need to do is over communicate, talk as much as to the individual from a supervisory perspective, from an HR perspective. Give them that clarity of the culture that the organization is actually having, and make them feel that even if they are virtual, they are still part of the organization. It's not easy, it's going to be tough, you have to work harder as HR, you have to work harder as supervisor, you have to work harder. But that is what I believe it takes, that you need to over communicate, you need to talk, you need to engage on a day-to-day basis with the new joinee. And I believe that the first 3 months is crucial. Try to seek feedback, try to seek where you have gone wrong, can you do better, and I think that is the way forward.
Well, thanks, Chitra. I think very well put forward that it's the sense of belonging and the community, sense of community. And it's so much difficult when people are working in different places. It's good that you pointed out some of the best practices. Thank you for that. I'm sure our viewers are going to be benefited by this. The second question I will come to is related to the talent management of the entire workforce. Post COVID, I'm sure there are changes in the way we are engaging with people, we are developing, and we are managing talent in general. So, what are your thoughts, Chitra?
See, talent management is a huge area. Okay, talent management is not just a checklist. That let's do a succession planning process, let's do a potential, a 9 box process, let's map people, and then you again do it after 6 months, you do a review. So talent management is not that, that is just one of the aspects. So what talent management needs is a strategy, as it was pre-COVID. It needs an execution check. It also needs improvement. But what does talent management as such comprise of? Now, as I said, it's a huge area. It includes attracting, it includes hiring, it includes developing, performance management, retention. So these are the aspects that gets covered in talent management. I will tell you what I think is probably the right thing in the post-COVID era and how it's going to change. So one thing that's going to change in talent management is the way technology is going to impact all its pillars. Technology, if you see, has already impacted the recruitment side. Technology has already impacted the onboarding. Technology in the long run will also impact performance management. To some extent, it already has. It has already impacted the development side, which is which is basically training and development side. I will touch upon that a little bit in my further points. So technology is going to be the key, and I think as organization, as HR, that is something that we need to get adapted very, very quickly. If you delay, it is it is a delay in the effectiveness of the whole talent management process that you are doing. Second thing that's going to change in talent management is continuous learning. Continuous learning, when I say, is that post COVID, as I said, the technology has played such an important role that uh, learning is not limited to classroom trainings. In fact, classroom trainings are not the norms anymore. In fact, in the month of November, we are going to do our first classroom training after 1.5 years. All this while it has been on Zoom, like you are doing today. So, for example, let's say what we have started in A.O.Smith is something called Here to Learn program, wherein we are asking people, we as HR, we are just facilitating the process. What we are telling them is, These are the books which are available. These books are available in the form of audibles. There are podcasts available. There are books available which are, there are just abstracts of book available. Go and read that. Discuss it with people. So it is not about just about classroom trainings which HR used to do. It is about continuous learning, reskilling and upskilling themselves. And now the onus is not just on HR, not just on your supervisor. The onus is also on you as an employee to ensure that you are there where the organization needs you. So that is the other change which I see in the talent management side. Another thing that I see a change is, from a talent management perspective, is focus on knowledge and innovation. A.O.Smith's tagline is "Innovation has a name," which was given long back, but I see that it is still relevant in this post-COVID era, because that is what is going to put you at a different level as compared to other organizations. So that is another change that's going to be. And performance management is also going to change, which is one of the strongest pillars of talent management. When I say performance management, it is not performance appraisal that I am talking about. I am talking about performance management as a complete process that's going to have a major change. And last but not the least, from a talent management perspective, COVID-19 has shown us loss of jobs. We had seen people, salaries being cut, bonuses being cut, increments not being given. So I think at this point in time, the expectation from a talent management team is to be a compassionate talent management. Technology, continuous learning, innovation, all that, of course, you have to do. But as HR, what you need to be is to be a compassionate talent management, because you should understand that where are these employees coming from? What are the current issues that they could be facing personally or professionally? And be as compassionate, as empathetic as possible. And I feel that that will go a long way, which will have an impact on your retention also. So this is how I would sum it up as far as talent management is concerned.
Yeah, this is interesting. In some way, it is a combination of the good practices or the best practices we did in the past. We need to retain them and possibly fortify them or harness them using more of technology, the new discoveries that people did about how to use tech in day-to-day
Right.
work. And earlier, many managers thought that remote working is not possible. It is a kind of a second grade or the compromise solution.
Correct.
Work is not very effective. So that was, for example, that was proven to be a myth in this period of time. People were extremely effective. However, we also learned how to be effective at work. So I think tech played a great role. You also spoke about innovation. You talked about compassionate talent management. You talked about performance management. I'll like to focus a little more on the performance management side, and maybe a little later talk about the compensation part of it. Just to add to what you said, I think recently we did a study as CLHR. We asked people as to what is it that they see. Various organizations are doing various practices to engage people better, to enthuse them, to align them with the organization's purpose and goals. So we ask them, what is it that they have found, the employees have found. So it's the other side of the table, that what they found it most interesting or most engaging. So we conducted this study. Hundreds of people took this research. So we asked them kind of 4 questions that we discovered that what employees are talking about is 43% employees said, people respondents said, that the transparent communication was something which they found to be essential to maintain a congenial work environment, stress-free work environment, positive work environment. the point that they said, the second most picked point was the flexibility in working, so flexible work arrangement. So our study found that one is transparent communication, second is the flexible work arrangement. These two were the winners in that sense. We saw that in this COVID time, a lot of organizations invested a huge amount of energy in sort of doing virtual team bonding activity. So we asked people that how effective this was. So 11% respondents said that it was effective, only 11%. And then many organizations did virtual team connect to sort of keep people together and have some kind of a collaboration within the team. We asked them that this daily team connect as a practice, how effective it was. Only 15% respondents said that it was effective. So the takeaway for us out of this study was that transparent communication and flexible work arrangement as two practices actually stand out and are more effective than the virtual team bonding and the daily team connect. I thought I'll just present this, and it kind of augurs well with what you said, Chitra, just a few minutes ago in the context of new joiners. You said that you give them a sense of belonging, a sense of community, address their anxieties by over communication, by showing them flashes of your culture. So I thought it kind of exactly what people are saying. So possibly you have got this right, and that's how A.O.Smith India is a great place to work. So congratulations for that. I see that on your LinkedIn profile you have said
Yes.
that we did it. We did it
Right,
again, or we did it
right,
together.
right, right, right.
So that's nice. I would like. I found it sort of interesting because CLHR as an organization also is I mean, in a 2 years in a row we have got the great place to
I
work.
have
So we
seen
thought,
that. Yes.
yeah. So we thought there is interesting learning. Possibly organizations like yourself are spending time in that communication, which people are saying that this is effective. I mean, of course, virtual calls and team bonding, all of this works, but communication is more important. So, okay, this is just a bit of an insight that I thought I'll share with our viewers. Coming to the third question, Chitra, quickly about this performance management. A lot of talk goes on at this point of time where people are talking about is the performance management slowly moving? Appraisals, goal setting, all of this is slowly moving more towards the output than the input and the process parameters. And people are talking about this feedback process. There are some changes which need to bring in the which need to come in this post-COVID era. So, what are your thoughts on this performance management piece?
So, before I touch upon performance management, let me tell you, which I have read somewhere and I have personally experienced it also, that what COVID has done, that it has established trust in the organization. So, so when I say trust, trust is that employees will work irrespective of they are being monitored every day or not, irrespective of which location that they are placed in. So that has something that has evolved in this last one and a half year. And as you rightly said earlier, also companies had the opportunity to give employees the option of working from home, but there was always a fear that it will impact productivity, it will impact individuals performance. So that is a paradigm shift that has come as far as performance management is concerned, that there is a trust that has been established that people will work irrespective of where they are located. And I think trust is a very, very important pillar of performance management, because otherwise, as a process, what were the concerns of people? Concerns of people were that I'm sure there would be some research which you might have done, or even externally which has been done, which says that there are many people who are not satisfied with performance management as a process. They feel that they have always felt that they have not been rated fairly. There is a recency effect when a manager gives them a rating, or there is a halo effect, when a person is being analyzed. But post COVID, I think these things would change, because trust has been established between the manager and the employee. That is the first thing that has changed. And I would like to say that let's not confuse performance management with performance appraisal. Performance management is a continuous process, whereas performance appraisal is once in 6 months or once in a year process. So that post COVID, that has also changed, because managers had to be in touch with the employee all the time, through meetings, through Zoom calls. I think the connect probably increased, post COVID or during COVID. So the performance management's first step now would be to have agile goals for people, not necessarily which are as long as a 1 year or 12 months or 6 months. It could be even monthly, or it could be even quarterly, where people could be reviewed. One has to have very very clear matrices in terms of how individual goals are going to have an impact on the organizational goals. Managers have to move from managing to coaching, because COVID taught us that managing, irrespective of where the person is placed, is not difficult. You have to ensure that person is developed in the organization. That is what performance management as a process is all about. So managers have to move from management to development. Organizations also have to focus from on developing, on coaching the managers on how to coach. That is another thing that organizations have to look at, because it's easy to say, why don't you coach the employee? Now, how do you coach? Do you have it in you to coach the employee? So that is something that organization has to do. And as I said, it is not just about what HR can do for you and what manager can do for you. It also about what you can do for yourself. So in a performance management, the self development part also comes into picture. So I feel these are the changes that's going to come post COVID. And plus, the biggest factor is that the trust has been established, and that's going to go a long way, and that would become one of the solid pillars of performance management.
Very well said. I think trust and the agile goals were moving from managing to coaching. Brilliant, brilliant points that you brought out. Uh, so, in the interest of time, I'll rush through the last point, which is uh, related to compensation. I want to raise that point.
Yeah.
I started this conversation from the point of great resignation. Today, there are some sectors which are losing a lot of people because it's very easy for people to find another job, and technology, that's the possibly one
Right.
impact of technology on accessibility, and possibly attracting people with very attractive financial packages. And hence people are, especially in India, people being pretty much ambitious, aspirational, get attracted. So my question is that compensation as a talent retention strategy. Uh, what's your thought on this point at this point of time?
See, what I believe is compensation is just one of a small tools in a retention strategy. So war on talent is never over. Pre or post COVID, it is always there, and I think you would understand that
Yeah.
the best. CIEL as an organization would understand the best. What I think is, during COVID, the organizations who have not cut salaries, who have not stopped increments, who have paid employees for the job that they have done, they have used compensation as a retention strategy very very well. I think that opportunity, if you have used well without impacting employees negatively. I think that is one time that you have used compensation as an effective strategy to retain people, and not retain at that time, but retain them for future, because they have now a confidence in this organization, that even in tough times this organization was there with me. So I think that was the time when compensation should have been used as a retention strategy. But otherwise, I personally feel that you cannot retain people based on compensation, because every person has a different motivation factor. You know, I have read in surveys that there are many people who don't want an increment, but they are okay to forego the increment as long as they are allowed to work from home. So every person has a different motivating factor. Some person's motivating factor is profit, which is compensation. For some person it is potential, for some person it is so compensation, I believe, is always a tool which has to be used appropriately at the right time. It is not a one stop solution for retaining employees. And the organizations which have used it during COVID, I think were probably better visionaries than rest of the organizations who have not used it properly during COVID. And I'm very extremely proud and happy to say that we have used it at the time of COVID really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think very well said. At the right time, organizations, when they were facing difficult times, many of them resorted to, subjecting their employees to bear the brunt of what was happening in the environment. But some organizations could actually take on that. Uh, so that's very good, and you create a huge amount of social equity amongst the
Correct. That's the
um,
word. Right.
amongst the employees, and that's a great employee engagement, and sort of a you it's like a bank deposit in a bank.
Correct. Right.
So good. We had a very good conversation. Thank you, Chitra, for spending the time with us. As a quick summary, I could see that you are you are saying that the world has changed to some extent, while some of the best practices of the past need to be or harnessed with some of the new discoveries in the last 2 years, such as technology, such as innovation, some new practices like remotely engaging with people by giving them a sense of community over communication. You talked about managers moving from managing to coaching. I think you also made a very interesting point about setting agile goals, not about really one year or 6 months goals quarterly, not necessarily. You can be more agile because the environment is so volatile, so uncertain, and all of that. So, and you said, as a closing remark, I would like to say, you said war for talent is never over. So that's a great realization, and that's the point why CLHR as an organization exists and thrives. So thank you, Chitra. I hope our viewers enjoyed this conversation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me for this, and I'm very happy to be part of this, this discussion, and very happy to be invited specifically by CIEL HR, because this was one of the organizations that I had brought into A.O.Smith, because I felt that there is something in this organization, and there are quite a few people who have worked really well with us, like Sobi and Sudhakar and Gopal. So big thanks to everyone, and special thanks to Karun and Santosh also, who started off, our association with CIEL. So thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Chitra. Thanks for your time. Thank you. Thank you.